I've helped millions of tourists enjoy their visits to NYC, and in this video, I'm sharing the best 3-day itinerary on YouTube so you can enjoy this amazing city with zero stress. But before we drive or fly to NYC, there are 3 things you absolutely need to know before arriving, starting with checking the weather. We have had such wild weather swings the last few years. Unless it's peak summer, you never know what you're gonna get here. I definitely pack an umbrella and possible extra layers even when it's hot because the air conditioning blasts here, and for winter, check the weekly forecast before you arrive to see just how cold you need to pack for. Bring some cash. New York is not like London, where I didn't touch cash the entire trip. At little pizza shops, in Chinatown, there are still cash-only places, and even in small delis and supermarkets, I have seen minimums of $10 to use a credit card, so carrying at least $50 to $100 in cash is never a bad idea here. Stay alert. While New York is one of the safest large cities in America, the city still has issues with mental illness and drug use, so always be aware of your surroundings, especially when riding the subway. We'll keep this simple and concentrate your first day in Midtown Manhattan, the heartbeat of the city. For breakfast, a classic American experience at the Tock Diner, right across from Penn Station. You've probably seen this spot in movies. It's the classic American diner. Open 24 hours a day, this place serves up some seriously massive plates of pancakes and French toast. You could easily split one of these between 2 people. Breakfast starts at just $9.95 for 2 eggs any style, and prices go up to around $20 for some of the bigger dishes. It's a Midtown staple and a total viewer favorite. After you finish, there's a little hidden gem in the basement of the New Yorker Hotel next door, a tiny museum dedicated to Nikola Tesla. It's only worth about 5 minutes, but definitely check it out. It's where the famous inventor spent the last years of his life. You're less than a 10-minute walk to Bryant Park. From late October to early March, this place transforms into the Winter Village, hands down the best holiday market in the city. But even when it's not the holiday season, it's still one of my favorite parks to just chill. Perfect spot to relax at a table, people watch, and soak in that classic New York vibe. Oh, and here's a little bonus. It's got the cleanest public restroom in the Big Apple. You could practically eat off the floor in there. Right next to Bryant Park is the New York Public Library, and honestly, this might be one of the best free things to do in the city. My wife and I love exploring this place. Between the reading rooms and the stunning hallways, it feels like you're walking through a free museum. And speaking of museums, the Polanski exhibition on the ground floor is like its own mini museum. You can see the original Winnie the Pooh, the Declaration of Independence, and so much more on display. And that's just the beginning. You could easily spend 30 minutes here just soaking it all in. At this point, it's time you experience one of the city's best tourist attractions, an observation deck. For first-timers, my favorite observation deck is definitely Top of the Rock. If you're looking for stunning views on a beautiful day, this is the spot. At 70 floors up, it's the most intimate observation deck, putting you right in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. Plus, with tickets starting at just $40, it's one of the best value options out there. And don't miss their newest attractions, Beam and Skylift. Beam lets you feel what it was like to be a construction worker on lunch break, and it's a little scary if you're afraid of heights. Fair warning. After taking in the views, head over to Grand Central Terminal, New York's most beautiful transit hub. Snap some iconic shots in the main hall featuring the breathtaking celestial ceiling mural. Then take a quick detour next door to the Ford Atrium Garden. Hidden gem alert. This massive greenhouse maintains tropical conditions for plants to flourish year-round, with real rainwater collected straight from the roof. It's the perfect peaceful escape in the middle of the city. For lunch, you're eating the most iconic sandwich in New York, pastrami on rye with mustard. Sarge's Deli has won every contest we've ever had, comparing it to Katz's and all the other heavyweights. And it's not swarm with tourists either. Nope, this is a local spot. This would be a moment to consider splitting one for 2 people, especially if you had a big breakfast at the diner. The pastrami is juicy and you'll leave satisfied. That I can promise you. After lunch, Uber or Subway up to Central Park. Start at 59th Street and Columbus Circle. You could easily spend an entire afternoon exploring Central Park. Trust me, I've done it. It stretches over 50 blocks. But as a first-timer, you really only need to soak in a few key spots. Start with Sheep Meadow for stunning skyline views over the lawn. Then head over to Bethesda Terrace, walk through the arcade to admire the beautiful archways and the world's only ceiling made entirely of Minton tiles. Don't miss the fountain and nearby pond, always always a peaceful sight. If you're short on time, I filmed a Central Park guide recently that shows how to see the best of the park in just 2 hours. Check that one out for more ideas. The American Museum of Natural History is a must for any visitor, and their new Gilder Center is a game changer, especially for families. Opened less than 2 years ago, this stunning addition features immersive exhibits that bring science and nature to life. Kids will love the Invisible Worlds exhibit, a mind-blowing interactive experience, and the impressive butterfly vivarium where you can walk among hundreds of live butterflies. Plus, the museum's iconic dinosaur fossils and massive blue whale model make it one of the coolest spots to explore in NYC. All right, it's time to go rest up and head back to Midtown for dinner. We'll be at John's of Times Square. This isn't just any pizza spot. It's the only one set inside a stunning old church located just a few blocks from Times Square. It's the perfect stop if you've got plans to catch a Broadway show afterward, and the pizza, absolutely delicious. After dinner, make your way to Times Square and take it all in. Start at Father Duffy Square near the Big Red Steps. This is probably the most iconic spot in the United States for snapping a photo, but don't linger too long. This area is also prime territory for tourist scams. We've covered this in depth in another video, but here's the quick version. If someone hands you a CD, a bracelet, or if Spider-Man insists on a photo, keep walking and don't make eye contact. Trust me, you'll thank me later. For some affordable souvenirs, head to Grand Slam, New York. They've got all the I Love New York shirts, keychains, and trinkets you could want, and the prices are surprisingly budget friendly. If you're ready to relax a little, head over to Beast and Butterflies inside the M Social Hotel. Out of all the rooftop bars I've covered in the past 5 years, this one has gotten the most buzz from my viewers, and for good reason. The views of Times Square are incredible, the food and drinks are delicious, and here's the kicker, kids are actually welcome. Unique is an understatement. It's the perfect way to end your night in Times Square. Today we're diving into Lower Manhattan, or as the locals call it, downtown. Let's kick things off with breakfast. Pearl Diner. This place takes me right back to the diners I grew up with across the Hudson in New Jersey. It's a classic hole in the wall that's been serving locals for over 50 years. With $10 to $20, you'll get plenty of food, and the nostalgic vibes are unbeatable. We'll begin at one of the most somber and meaningful memorials in the city, the 9/11 Memorial, dedicated to the day New York and the world changed forever on September 11th, 2001. The fountains mark the footprints of where the Twin Towers once stood. It's a place for quiet reflection, so please save the smiling selfies for elsewhere. The Oculus is one of the cleanest and most futuristic transit hubs in New York. It feels like you've stepped inside a spaceship. It's also home to a high-end mall, but even if shopping isn't on your list, it's worth stopping by for a photo because the architecture is just that stunning. Fun fact, the Oculus has a skylight that opens every year on September 11th, allowing sunlight to stream through in a powerful tribute to the Twin Towers. A trip to Liberty Island and the Statue of Liberty is a must, but here's an important tip. Do not buy tickets from vendors hanging around the area. They're often overpriced or scams. Instead, book your tickets in advance, especially if you want to experience the best view climbing inside the crown of the Statue of Liberty. Crown access is limited and requires reservations months ahead, so plan early. This visit will take up the rest of your morning and likely stretch into the afternoon. While you're there, consider stopping for lunch at the cafe on Ellis Island, which offers a convenient break before exploring more. Fun fact, Ellis Island was the entry point for over 12 million immigrants between 1892 and 1954, making it a place of deep history and connection for many families. Once you're back in Manhattan, take a stroll down Stone Street. Its charming cobblestones were recreated to reflect how New York looked back in the 1600s. This historic street was home to the city's first breweries, and today you can still grab a beer or a bite at one of the many cozy restaurants lining the block. It almost feels like you've stepped into a scene straight out of Harry Potter. All right, it's time to regroup. We'll walk, Uber, or Subway to Chinatown, starting at Doyers Street. Welcome to the most Instagrammable street in Manhattan. This spot is also home to the infamous Bloody Angle, a sharp bend in the road with a dark past. It was once a notorious site for gang rivalries and assassinations by Chinese gangs. Today, though, it's a much friendlier place known for some of the best Chinese food in New York. Who's ready for a late lunch we didn't eat at Ellis Island? Deluxe Greenbow. This spot is a local favorite for the best soup dumplings in Manhattan with communal seating. It's everything you'd hope for in an authentic Chinatown experience, fast service, and incredibly delicious food. Don't miss a steamed pork and crab have mixed tiny buns starting at $9.95. Heads up, it's cash or Venmo only, so come prepared. If you've got any room left for dessert, head across the street to the original Chinatown ice cream factory, a neighborhood staple. They're known for unique and exotic flavors like lychee and black sesame, so come with an open mind and a sweet tooth ready to try something new. And if you're looking to explore more of Chinatown, we've got you covered. Check out our full compilation video packed with hours of food and activity recommendations. Time to walk off that food coma or subway taxi if you're too tired to Greenwich Village. Head north and make your way to Washington Square Park, a longtime cultural hotspot. It's the perfect place for people watching, and you're almost guaranteed to catch some live music or street performances. Here's a fun little Easter egg. If you look straight through the Washington Square Arch, you'll get a picture-perfect view of the Empire State Building. From there, head to 7th Avenue, walk south, and turn right onto Grove Street. That's where you'll find the exterior of the Friends apartment building. The surrounding area is absolutely stunning, filled with classic brownstones and some of the most expensive real estate in Manhattan. Walk up to the High Line if you're feeling extra ambitious, one of New York's most famous free parks. This elevated walkway was once an old freight train track, but has been transformed into a stunning urban green space. As you stroll, you'll pass impressive art murals, beautiful landscaping, and get unique views of the city with streets and cars below. You don't have to walk the entire 1.5 miles, but it's definitely worth snapping some photos along the way. Fun fact, the High Line was inspired by a similar elevated park in Paris called Promenade Planty. If you follow it north, you can end your walk at Hudson Yards, where you'll find the iconic vessel, a futuristic honeycomb-like structure perfect for a quick photo. Take a break, you've earned it, because for dinner we're heading to Koreatown, or K-Town as the locals call it. If you're looking to check out Koreatown, I would head to Food Gallery 32. It's my wife Adriana's and my favorite spot for quick, delicious Korean food. Kobe Q is our pick. Our go-to is the barbecue rice bowl with pork, but there's plenty of variety to choose from. Plus, if you're in the mood for something else, the food court has a ton of other vendors to explore, making it a perfect stop for a casual meal. After dinner, make a stop at Rudy's Bar and Grill in Hell's Kitchen. This is hands down my favorite dive bar in the city, and it's been around since 1933. The beer is cheap, their blonde ale is just $4, and every drink comes with a free hot dog. Yes, you heard that right, a free hot dog. It's a throwback to prices from the early 2000s, and the vibe is unbeatable. A perfect mix of local characters and curious tourists. Time for day 3 of your New York trip, and if you're looking for something quick but iconic for breakfast, Russ & Daughters is one of those classic New York institutions that truly lives up to the hype. For a more relaxed experience, head just a few blocks over to their cafe for a sit-down version of the same legendary food. You can't go wrong with their classic bagel and lox sandwich. No, it's not cheap, but yes, it's absolutely worth every penny. Then we're gonna take a subway, taxi, or Uber to Pier 11 Wall Street. Here's a tip most guides won't mention. Take the NYC ferry for just $4. Download the NYC ferry app to pay easily by phone. As you cross the East River, you'll get unbeatable views of the Brooklyn Bridge, and in about 5 minutes, you'll land right in the heart of Dumbo, much closer than taking the subway, which involves a longer walk. If you've got extra time and want to discover more ways to use the ferry, check out my video where I break it all down. I encourage you to stroll around Brooklyn Bridge Park for all the photo opportunities. It's truly one of the most beautiful areas of the city. While you're in the area, especially if you've got little ones, make sure to stop by Jane's Carousel. I'd argue there isn't a carousel in the world with a better backdrop. This beautifully restored wooden carousel, built in 1922, features 48 hand-carved horses and is truly a masterpiece. If you've seen that iconic photo of the Manhattan Bridge framed perfectly between buildings, it's taken right here at the corner of Washington and Water Street. I won't blame you for snapping the shot, but be prepared to jockey for position with other photographers. Or, just Photoshop everyone out later. For lunch, we'll keep things simple and send you to the touristy Timeout Market. While I'm usually not the biggest fan of this place, Bark Barbecue on the top floor is a standout exception. Their Dominican Texas barbecue fusion is absolutely delicious, though it's a bit on the pricey side. If you're up for some American barbecue with a twist, their famous brisket is worth braving the long lines. Bonus tip, step outside onto the Timeout Market rooftop for one of the best free views of Manhattan. After lunch, I highly recommend walking the Brooklyn Bridge back to Manhattan. The views are far better when you're facing the Manhattan skyline, making it perfect for photos. photos. The walk takes about 30 minutes and is absolutely worth it. But if you're feeling tired or just not up for the walk, no worries. You can hop on the NYC ferry back to Pier 11 for just $4. It's a great alternative and still offers some beautiful views along the way. Once you cross the East River, it's just a 10-minute walk to South Street Seaport, a historic area filled with some of the oldest buildings in New York City. It's home to the largest concentration of restored early 19th century commercial buildings, making it a must-see for history buffs. For a hidden gem, check out Cannon's Walk, a tucked-away alley that feels like you've been transported straight back to the 19th century. It's a little slice of old New York you won't want to miss. If you've got a little extra time, head over to Pier 35 and check out the Pier 35 swings. It's the perfect spot to snap a photo or video with the Manhattan and Brooklyn bridges as your backdrop. Trust me, there's no view quite like it anywhere else in the world. Next, hop on a subway or grab an Uber to the Roosevelt Island tram station. Want to try something different? Check out Revel, the all-electric car service. Use this code for 70% off your first ride. It's a fun, eco-friendly way to get around. For just the cost of a subway swipe, hop on the Roosevelt Island tram and glide above the East River. It feels like a tourist attraction, but it's a regular part of city life. When you land, you'll find yourself on a quiet little island that's technically part of Manhattan, but feels like a world away. Start your exploration of Roosevelt Island with the Smallpox Memorial Hospital, a striking example of Gothic revival architecture that reveals a darker chapter of the island's history. You can walk the perimeter of the island or rent a city bike for a more leisurely ride. Other must-see stops along the way include the Franklin D. Roosevelt For Freedom State Park, and at the northern tip of the island, the Roosevelt Island Lighthouse. If you want to spend even more time exploring the island, we have a whole video dedicated to it where we spent an entire day there with a local. Check it out. Take a break and get ready for dinner. If you haven't noticed by now, I'm a big fan of hidden gems, and Sakagura is one of the best. Tucked away in an unassuming midtown building and down a flight of stairs, you'll discover an incredible Japanese restaurant. They specialize in authentic tapas-style dishes perfect for sharing, and they boast an impressive selection of 260 types of sake. It's a truly memorable New York experience as long as you take it easy on the sake. Here's an after-dinner drink and entertainment option. The Freaky Tiki is a must for my Broadway and karaoke lovers. This quirky Hawaiian-themed bar not only serves up great food, but also delivers a one-of-a-kind experience. The host sings, plays piano, and takes requests, plus you can hop in and sing yourself. If you're in the mood for show tunes or classic oldies, just slip the host a tip and you'll have the playlist at your command.
I want to be a part of it. Where? New York.
In 3 days, you can see a lot of NYC, but if you want more amazing food options to add to your trip, then click the video on the screen right now.